Listen, I have this wife. Her name is Robin, and she would never let me do anything naughty. As bad as I want to do it.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am Jen. This is Fundy Fridays, and here on my channel I talk about different aspects of Christian fundamentalism, American conservative politics, pop culture, and gay stuff. Right up front, I apologize for the sound. I have the window open because it's actually hot as hell in my room, and I needed the breeze. I just realized that I have virtually zero clips of Robin in this episode, and I'm okay with that. If you hear any howling winds, let's just consider that a part of the Halloween spirit. I also have a fake lantern here, and since you can see my computer, I put Sister Wives on there. But don't let that distract you from the truth that Kody Brown is a horrible father and husband, and also a bad person, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Lack of loyalty, the lack of trust, the lies, the gaslighting.
You're gaslighting me, Kody.
I am not.
Yes, you are.
It has been quite a while since you've seen me. Not hiding or anything, it's just lately, you know, I've been trying to enjoy my life. I don't know. Sometimes it takes 4 to 6 weeks for an episode to come out. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. In the meantime, you've always got King James, and he works really hard, and he does interviews now exclusively because I get extremely anxious and I feel like I drop the ball and ask stupid questions. So I'm really glad that James is in charge of that. But for today, we're just doing a classic Fundy Fridays episode. We're going to be talking about some Sister Wives updates. We've got a little bit of season 20 that just came out. Kody on Special Forces, which is like this Republican dad show where they take D-list celebrities and put them through boot camp, except for there's no consequences or stakes because they're not actually like in the military. They're just being yelled at. So I don't know. It's satisfying because of that, but
You won. Thank you, Stab. Deep breaths out your belly. Shut the out. Just.
we're also going to be talking about Christine's book because that just came out this month, and I listened to the whole thing, and it's fascinating because she talks a lot about her upbringing as polygamist royalty, but also her life with the Sister Wives and Kody and how bad Kody sucks, and her journey as a woman in her 50s, and it talks all about perimenopause and her wisdom and estrogen and her health journey and all that stuff. We're not going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about the Kody stuff as it pertains, and we're going to be talking about the politics of the family because although quite a few of them are Republican, I'd say about half of them aren't. The kids, at least, except for Peyton.
Gwendolyn has cut most of us off because we're all
Really?
sexist, racist, homophobes. Yes, we are all
she's
sexist,
going
racist,
through that
homophobes.
right
He's intense, but we're going to talk about all of that. I am so excited. But before we begin, I would like to talk about a different show that I've been watching. Sister Loaves.
Previously on Sister Loaves. It's like a knife in your sourdough!
I'm the classic wife. I'm the plant-based wife. And I'm the gluten-free wife. We're the Sister Loaves. And this video is brought to you by Wild Grain. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough loaves, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. Wild Grain has options to fit everyone's individual needs. Plus, you can customize your box with your favorite products. Let's say you're in a non-traditional family situation and you have lots of mouths to feed with all kinds of different preferences. Well, Wild Grain would be perfect for that. It's convenient, with every item baking in less than 25 minutes and no mess or cleanup. With Wild Grain, you can support small businesses and responsible sourcing. And with every box ordered, you can donate 2 meals to a nonprofit of your choice at no extra cost. Wild Grain is fully customizable and constantly adding new, seasonal, and limited time special items to try when you build your next box. And what do you know, they even have brand new items for fall, including apple cider donuts, which are absolutely fire and amazing in every way, and the pumpkin cinnamon biscuits, which are out of this world. Seriously, I gave some to my friends because we had a lot of baked goods and they ate them just as fast as we could bring them out. Whether you're having a fun fall party or even just trying to have some good snacks for back to school, Wild Grain provides easy meals and everyday indulgence. And you don't even have to work hard to make them, which is something that I enjoy as the Least favorite wife. If you'd like to check out Wild Grain, be sure to click on the link in my description and visit wildgrain.com/Fundy and use my code Fundy to get $30 off your first box. Plus, you'll get free croissants for life. That'll make you say, bonjour. Yes, I keep moving my jack-o'-lantern. I'm trying to find a good spot for him. I don't necessarily want the sister wives in the background either. The premise of the TV show, Sister Wives, if you've never seen it before, the show starts off as a slice of life series about the Brown family, a group of polygamists living in Utah. The first 3 wives were Mary, Janelle, and Christine, and in the first season, we are introduced to Kody's current courtship and future only wife, Robin Jessup. If you know anything about fundamentalist Mormonism, that name should ring a bell, as Robin was previously married and brought a few kids into the family. Robin is now his only wife, as the rest of them have either left or have been basically abandoned or ghosted by Kody. And yes, I'm talking about Mary. We'll get to her in a minute.
Man, just the knife in the kidneys over all these years. And the sacrifices that I made to love you. Wasted.
This game has gone on long enough. Shit.
Are you doing an accent?
Yeah, I was doing a British accent. It was a British accent.
That was British?
Yeah, I had it so good in my head.
Kody was mainstream LDS, and he actually was serving his mission in San Antonio. My favorite thing is when Mormons serve their mission in America, because it's like, what are you doing, dude? And while he was gone, his family converted to fundamentalist Mormonism, aka they joined the AUB, and his dad actually married Janelle's mom.
Each wife is a spoke in the wheel. Well, when another wife comes in, then every one of those spokes has to move.
To be balanced.
And the more spokes in the wheel, the stronger the wheel is.
So just imagine getting back from your mission and your whole family has changed. But anyway, Kody was like, plural wives. I need to get in on that. And so he married Mary.
When I married Kody, it wasn't just because I loved him. I felt like that I had a confirmation from God that I was supposed to be married to Kody.
It really seemed like they were in love. They had the most normal of the marriages and courtships, because that's usually what happens with the first wife, because they're the ones that are allowed to be legally married. They're the ones you're allowed to take, to your office Christmas party, and she's allowed to be the one that is the public wife. Now, Kody has always seemed to be like really proud of his family, and he would talk about having multiple wives, but that's not really the norm. Most polygamists like to keep it on the down low. Janelle was previously married to Mary's brother, and her and Kody ended up hitting it off.
My mom was at the wedding because she came to save me from the polygamists and ended up marrying Kody's dad 3 months before we got married.
They seem to be one of the better couples within that arrangement. If you watch any of the tell-alls, it seems like Kody really is like fondly remembering his times with Janelle, and Janelle has this attitude like, yeah, I rocked his world. She'll talk about it. I'm not making this up. I believe her too.
I'm a very sexual being. I'm a very earth mama.
Ooh.
Everything earthy. Food, wine, sex, all of it.
We can put her on Farmers Only.
Christine showed interest in joining the family. She expressed that to Kody, and basically they had a really lackluster, uninteresting courtship and marriage, and she talks more about that in her book. Kody never really seemed like he was into her or gave a shit, even in the book that they wrote together. He talks about how disgusting and unattractive she is, which is just, first of all, extremely disrespectful. Why would you marry her if you didn't like her? And second, I don't understand why the publisher would put that in the book. And third, how dare you say that about Christine? It's just patently not factual. Christine is very beautiful, always has been, and so the fact that he's like, oh, I just couldn't handle the way she ate those nachos. It's like, we can't handle the fact that you think you look like Sammy Hagar. Like, come on.
Was a chili nacho cheese incident that nearly derailed this courtship.
I know, he was so silly.
Did you
How
even
could
realize
that cool down any relationship, please? Me wolfing down nachos, come on.
Kody wrote, Christine was the cutest girl in the world, although she was a little chubby.
I was pretty chubby.
But does size matter to you, Kody? I mean, were you grossed out by, you said she was chubby and she was eating the nacho cheese?
I will be honest, I was not attracted to Christine in any kind of physical sense. I mean, I look back in retrospect and I wonder, was that fair? But I can't even look there because we have children together, we have a life together, we have a relationship, and we found our sweet spot.
So you were not physically attracted to Christine?
That's an understatement.
You were grossed out by her?
I won't say that, but the nachos grossed me out enough to make me go, okay, I'm waiting to marry her.
How does it feel to hear
It
him
hurts.
say?
It's horrible.
If you weren't already aware, Christine's grandfather, Rulon Allred, was the leader of their denomination, their sect, the AUB, the Apostolic United Brethren. And so when you hear Kody talking about her being polygamist royalty, that's what he's referring to. The AUB was actually founded on the principles of consenting adult wives joining the families and racism. Yes, those two things specifically. They still believe to this day, unless I'm wrong, somebody speak up in the comments section, they still believe that black people should not be able to hold the priesthood, something that even the regular Mormon church reversed in the 70s. And I know that was way too late, but still, why is the AUB doing that? Members of the AUB are known for their belief in plural marriage and what is commonly called the 1886 meeting. Other key beliefs include the United Order, the Adam God doctrine. Yeah, that's the one that Brigham Young came up with, saying that Adam is our father and our God and the only God with whom we have to do. According to the doctrine, Adam was once a mortal man who became resurrected and exalted from another planet. He then came as Michael to form Earth. Adam then was given a physical body and a spouse, Eve, where they became mortal by eating the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden. After bearing mortal children and establishing the human race, Adam and Eve returned to their heavenly thrones, where Adam serves as God and he is the heavenly father of humankind. Later, Adam returned to the earth to the ancient prophets and to become the literal biological father of Jesus. But anyway, the AUB does not believe that black people can hold the priesthood and are generally excluded from their community. I was perusing the Wikipedia page, right? And I found that the AUB frequently is forthcoming with law enforcement. They're very open to the community. They try not to hide things, and they are willing to talk to the media. And they made a primer that is a pamphlet for law enforcement to read to understand their community so that they can better serve them. And there is a section in there about the AUB's relations to black people. Most fundamentalist Mormons do not accept the LDS Church's 1978 decision to allow African Americans to hold the priesthood. They maintain early Mormon teachings that black people, although that's not the word that they used, would not receive the priesthood until later. Fundamentalists generally marry within their own race and discourage interracial marriages. Service providers should be aware that some fundamentalists may have had little interaction with people of other races and may be reluctant to accept help from a person of a different race. Christine's group, especially her grandfather, Rulon Allred, was murdered by a rival polygamist group, a group that was a direct break-off of the AUB, Church of the Firstborn. This group was also known as the LeBaron group. At the time that the story takes place, Ervil was the leader of this group, and he's also a relative of Rulon because at the end of the day, most of these groups are related to each other in one way or another. And yes, I mean in that way, too. Christine's grandfather, Rulon Allred, was a naturopathic chiropractic doctor and midwife for the community. And I mean, he probably was beloved by a few people at least, but he was murdered by one of Ervil LeBaron's wives in the middle of the day in front of everybody at his chiropractor office. Ervil had a reputation for being cruel and abusive. They called him the Mormon Manson because he would do such horrible things and he would control these women and make them do stuff for him. And if you want to know more about Ervil LeBaron and what his family is up to now, I highly recommend the documentary Daughters of the Cult, which I watched on Hulu. And many of his family members are alive and on social media today. Christine talks very highly of her grandfather in her book, which is understandable because that's her grandfather, and she probably did have an awesome time, but Christine definitely seems like she has her head in the sand a lot because she talks about how idyllic and how amazing her childhood was and how her grandpa was a shining example of a polygamist, even though I think he had more than 10 wives. And some of them were minors. Yeah, there was abuse in the AUB. Still is. This has been a big deal recently with the members of the AUB being pissed that their prophet is hiding abuse that went back decades.
I don't know how they decide when it's time or who they call For some reason, they tend to call a lot of pedophiles to the council. I think probably half of the men that have been called to the council have been accused and even convicted of those crimes.
That was Emily Lee. Her father is the current prophet of the AUB, David Watson, and I do not have a picture of him. It seems like they try to keep it private over there. I wonder why. And if you watch this interview on the channel Growing Up in Polygamy, she talks a lot more about the problematic nature of the AUB. And they talk a little bit about Lynn Thompson, who was the prophet right before her dad, who was a child sexual predator. In fact, allegedly, he abused his own daughter, Rosemary Williams, who was on the TLC show My 5 Wives, featuring the family of Brady and his 5 wives, which I do recommend that show. It's canceled, but they were really kind to each other. And fun fact, the whole family left the church and they're all progressive now, and they don't even believe in polygamy, but they decided to stay together because they already have a family and they like each other. So that's one of the better endings I could guess. And the thing about Lynn Thompson is that he didn't leave office. He died. Shortly after, 2 of his nieces said he had sexually abused them as well. An individual within the AUB also alleged that Thompson embezzled up to $500,000 in tithing funds and other church funds, and that he used official church accounts for personal expenditures. An audit confirmed Thompson had embezzled funds before becoming AUB's leader. In March 2019, Pinesdale Academy, this church's school in Pinesdale, Montana, required teachers to pledge support for Thompson or else they were let go. The church required its members to make the same pledge, causing many people to leave the church as well. And so it's not really cute when Christine says stuff like this.
I thought that they looked at polygamy as a blessing, not as something to control with. I didn't know that men could be bastards. I didn't know.
It is ignorant to act like there isn't abuse or that it's like this feminist utopia where the women rule, because it's not.
But I'm not able to say, hey, don't check me or I'll never talk to you again, or I'll kick you out of my family or something like that. If anybody gets kicked out here, it's me.
How long do we have to uncomfortably laugh so we can get Kody to shut the fuck up? Never has been, never will be. As long as the system is based in patriarchal polygamy and based off of Joseph Smith's wishes.
Now, I have friends, Mormon apologists, who say Joseph restored the gospel and he brought the Book of Mormon forth, and then fell like King David, fell for the women. And women being hypergamous, Joseph Smith was the coolest guy in town. They were probably throwing themselves at him. Huh? Okay, not saying that it was justified. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they were easy prey. And if he was being a predator, that's pretty sick.
Thanks for
and the
clarifying
judgment
that.
lies, the judgment lies on whether there's some way that maybe God ordained it in the sense that, hey, in Ireland at the same time, in Ireland, you get some 30-year-old rich guy who couldn't get his own woman. Her parents would give her to him and say, yeah, marry him. Huh? But Joseph Smith was doing this stuff. If he was doing this stuff, he was doing it in secret, nefariously. And when I see a 14-year-old girl, I see a child. Maybe sometimes they have the woman's body, but they're a child.
Okay. And do the women have an opportunity to say no if a guy comes and says, I feel like you're supposed to be a part of the family? Do they have the option of turning down that courtship?
Yes and no. There's a lot of coercion. So again, it's made to look like the woman is making that decision. And sometimes these women will get together and they'll become friends. And maybe, a woman isn't getting along with her sister wives. And so she's got a friend or a friend's younger sister or whatever. And she decides that she's a good enough friend that she'd be a great sister wife. And so she wants to bring her in. So then they'll pray about it. They'll take it to the husband. I think they say, well, the men don't pick the wives. The women come to them and ask to be in the families. And again, there's so much coercive control. You don't realize what subtle messages are being said to you, or how your future is being guided in a way that you think you're making these decisions.
And I found out from Christine's book, as well as, episodes of the show, that Christine and her other sister wives were a part of a pro-polygamy movement, and they would go and have debates and other conversations with anti-polygamists.
And this didn't work for me, and if I didn't believe this anymore, I would leave.
That's right.
Do not make me a victim, sweetie.
So their actual religious beliefs would be fundamentalist Mormon. They believe in the fundamental beliefs of the original Mormon church, which includes polygamy. Kody considers himself to be the high priest of their family. I don't know if that's an official Mormon title or if he made that up. He certainly holds the priesthood. And for a while, they were doing home church when they moved to Las Vegas because they couldn't find a community.
Well, yes, it is something I'm used to doing. I'm used to being a minister. I am the high priest of my own family. but I'm also a failed priest. I've been defrocked. I got a wife leaving me.
But sometimes people, I think, my theory is, feel like their Christianity is not enough. They try to go the extra mile.
A friend of mine who's a Jew wrote these blessings down for me, and I just put them to memory. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech ha'olam borei peri hagafen. Amen.
Amen. And so some people, like Kody, like to appropriate Jewish traditions because they feel like since it's older, it's more religious, or they feel like because Jesus was Jewish that they need to be Jewish, even though they aren't.
On the 23rd, we used to have Joseph Smith's birthday. Instead of that this year, Hanukkah is what I wanted to do instead, because I love the meaning of Hanukkah.
Okay, now you're just half-assing two religions.
The main things of Hanukkah is the lights, and it's the focus on the lights. There's a saying that says, let your light shine, but that's only if you shine within yourself. Shining within yourself, what do you think that can mean?
I mean, that's not even getting into the offensive and problematic portrayals of other cultures in the Book of Mormon, but we don't have time to dive into that today. Something else I did learn from these communities is that sometimes when Mormons will seek truth, as it's called, sometimes they will deconstruct, sometimes they will become a different type of Christian, or a lot of times they go fundamentalist. They want to restore the original and full teachings of Joseph Smith, which includes polygamy. The whole thing was founded on that, essentially. And so they think, well, why are we not doing all of the rules that he came up with? He's a prophet. God speaks through him. So if he wants us to do polygamy, then I guess we should do it. And so a lot of them will join groups like the AUB because the AUB is one of the better ones. It's interesting because despite, advances in society and education being more available for people, the numbers are going up. There are a lot of polygamists still, and I think they're going to keep going because it's just such a Mormon attitude, right? To want to seek truth and to be righteous and do things by the book. And so, I don't know. I just find it fascinating, right? And I actually understand it. Like, it makes sense why they would do it. Their book says to do it. Their founder said to do it. But they get in trouble with the LDS Church because they're not supposed to do polygamy. They try to hide it. The LDS tries to squash that, and, members of the Brown family, their children, when they try to join the mainstream LDS Church or go on a mission or get their temple recommend, they're not allowed because they are required to disavow polygamy before they can do so. And they don't want to do that because they love their family.
The mission president called me. Because I won't publicly disown my family or publicly disassociate with them, it's too controversial for the Mormon Church, so they asked me not to. They told me that I couldn't get baptized.
Even though none of the Brown family children are polygamists, they still love their family, so why would they want to disavow?
This is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and Jesus Christ wouldn't be doing this. He would be like, yeah, sure, come. They want me to continue going without being baptized.
Yeah, of course they want you to keep going. They want your tithing money. I'm mad for Maddie, and I don't even like the Mormon Church.
I literally don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if I want to be in it anymore because of this, because it's like, if you want me to, like, publicly denounce my family, then why would I want to be part of your
church.
The first couple of seasons were interesting because they were on the run, if you believe their side of events. They were dealing with the growing pains of adding Robin and Kody having kids with Robin, which is interesting because Christine was still having children at the time. She was pregnant with her daughter Truly when Kody was courting Robin, and he almost missed her birth because he was spending time with Robin. He also did a lot of other horrible things, which we will talk about when we get to Christine's book.
How can he justify officiating Brian's wedding when he wouldn't even come to my surgery?
Yeah, that reminds me of the time that he forgot his own son's birthday.
I didn't remind him that it was my birthday because I wanted to see if he remembered. And he didn't.
The show, at least in the early seasons, would feature what the Browns did for a living. Kody, I think, sold LDS materials at some point. He also sold advertisements for billboards, which I wonder, is that even a job anymore since so many billboards are made of screens now? Janelle always worked. Mary always worked. She was trying to go back to college in the early seasons. I know that she worked at the private school that the AUB had, and Christine said in her book that everybody liked her. She was super nice. And Christine was the family babysitter and homeschool teacher. And that makes a lot of sense economically, honestly, to have 3 of the adults working and 1 stay home so that you don't have to pay for daycare for all those kids. It made a lot of sense, except for there ended up being a lot of parentification.
Every day I wake up about a half hour earlier than everyone else, make breakfast. I usually don't cook for all 12 children. Mostly I just cook for my part of the family.
That was Janelle's oldest son, Logan, and this is footage of him getting his siblings up for the day, which includes literally getting them out of bed and helping them get dressed for school, and also making breakfast for them.
All right, come on, you gotta eat. You got everything, Gabe? Oh, yes.
I say all of this to give you guys context about the next clip I'm about to play, which has become a meme at this point. But when Robin joined the family, she didn't have a job and she expected to be a stay-at-home mom, which I have no problems with. But Christine was offended because she was confused on what her role was supposed to be and how they were going to pay for all this stuff. And so fast forward 20 seasons later, and it's revealed that Robin has a nanny, which, again, no judgment, but there was a lot of discourse on that season about who was allowed to go to and from Robin and Kody's house and how they were going to keep everyone safe from COVID and why they were making exceptions for the nanny and things like that. And Christine asked a question that I think was on all of our minds.
What is the nanny and her husband doing that makes it so they can come over?
I forgot that it was the nanny's husband as well. Why do you have all those people coming over to your house? And what are they doing?
Yet my girls can't see their siblings. What does the nanny do?
Some other money-making schemes that the sister wives engaged in over the years, of course, would be their many MLMs that they've been involved with, which I've always said, you know, MLMs are evil, but if you're gonna be successful at them, you better be a D-list celebrity, because that's about the only people who can make money from such a thing. But besides that, they also had My Sister Wife's Closet, which was really Robin's idea to sell just god-awful clothes and accessories. And, you know, not the art police, but that shit made Ed Hardy look like it belonged in a museum. I've been watching a lot of old episodes and relearning things that I had forgotten about the Sister Wives lore. And I forgot that the other wives were trying to do businesses around the same time. Christine was trying to get her realtor license, Janelle was trying to create a fitness center, and Kody dropped all financial support and attention for those businesses in favor of this Sister Wives Closet thing. No wonder they had to turn to MLMs.
And I'm like, why is that fair? And then Kody would just decide to buy tons of like whatever assets that he would call assets, and he would just go spend family money on that.
Kody not only dropped the ball emotionally, but financially with these women too, because if you're going to operate in that system where there's a headship and a patriarchal leader and these women depend on you financially and spiritually, you just can't act irresponsibly like that. They literally depend on him for everything. And since they are not legally tied up to him, they are screwed when it comes to property and assets and money. And they're trying to operate in this modern world with modern finances and modern debt, but they're trying to do this old-timey thing, and it's just not working out. These women trust him with everything, and he routinely would let them down. In later seasons, Kody legally divorces Mary so that he can legally marry Robin and adopt her kids, which in theory, I guess I could see how that would work, but I think at that point, Robin's husband had given up legal rights to the children, so I don't know if that was like a long con situation, as Christine has implied.
So when Robin first came into the family, she started talking to us about these other families where the first wife divorced the husband so he could marry the second wife legally and legally adopt the kids. And I remember thinking, yeah, that's a plant.
Or if people, had better intentions than that. I don't know. It was awkward though, because Kody really wanted to retcon the narrative and make it seem like he was actually the father of Robin's first 3 kids, and he did so by commissioning a drawing that superimposed him into an old picture of Robin's children as babies. And my favorite part about this picture is the thumbs up. That's about the only thing about that picture that makes me smile.
And it's cool because you're creating kind of a story.
A moment.
A moment.
Yeah.
And you might notice that Christine seems to have dropped her smile in that moment. She looks kind of upset, like she's holding something back. And it's because Robin actually lifted that picture of Kody from a family portrait of Kody and Christine and their kids when they were little. So, not weird at all. The reason why I say things like legal divorce and legal marriage is because, of course, the other wives that Kody has are spiritual wives, meaning that they are married for all intents and purposes through their church. They have their own temples and their own sealing rituals, and so they are married in that way, but not legally married, as legally marrying more than one person is called bigamy, and it is a felony. Now, in Utah, they used to have laws that made it illegal to cohabitate with spiritual wives because they were like, you're just doing bigamy, but under the table. And there's been lots of discourse and protests and lawsuits that have gone on with that. We're not talking about that today. Although there is this narrative going around that I believe that the Brown family did not actually have to flee to Las Vegas in season 2, and it was done more for TV drama than actual legal persecution. And I used to believe that. I believed everything I saw on the TV show, and now I'm more skeptical. I have a feeling that Utah wanted to crack down on that, or at least appear like they were being tough on crime with all these laws, most notably with groups like the FLDS and the Order, otherwise known as the Kingston Clan. And there's lots of abuse and underage and incestuous marriages in those groups, and so they didn't want that to happen. But what ended up happening is that groups like the AUB, the Apostolic United Brethren, which is where the Brown family come from, they do things legally in their group. That's how they've always done it. They have always been cooperative with law enforcement and forthcoming with their beliefs and things, always talking to the media or being open about their lifestyle, probably because they want to set a good example, and they are afraid to speak up about abuse or misconduct because they're afraid that they're going to get in trouble or have their families separated.
1 husband, 4 wives, 17 children. We know them as reality TV stars on the hit show Sister Wives.
I need flowers for my wives.
Today, they are unlikely legal crusaders in a fight over the fate of polygamy.
I think that anybody should be able to organize their family according to how
they choose.
Almighty Father, we're grateful for thy blessings.
It is an epic court battle. Kody Brown and Mary, Janelle, Robin, and Christine against the state of Utah. They maintain theirs is a healthy lifestyle.
And we just wanted to show people that we're normal.
But that is not how authorities in Utah see it, threatening the Browns with prosecution after they flaunted their plural family on TV.
I just want to be a free man.
A free man, but what about the women and children? One study concluded polygamy leads to poverty and higher rates of child neglect and abuse. The United Nations calls it a violation of human rights. The Browns say those famous images of convicted pedophile Warren Jeffs and the FLDS, that's not their family or any other polygamist they know. And in December, a federal judge sided with them, declaring a key part of Utah's polygamy law unconstitutional. Cohabitation is legal, so Kody Brown can openly live with all his wives, just as long as there is only one marriage license.
Thousands of people living plural marriage in Utah now are free.
But opponents say there could be unintended consequences.
Could this ruling that helps your family and families like yours also be helping believers and followers of Warren Jeffs?
I guess what we're hoping is that this ruling would help create the check and balances that need to exist in societies that are closed now. Right.
They've got to be kidding.
By the way, it's no longer illegal. So. And you know what? As dubious as their story of having to flee to Las Vegas may be, there were some good things to come out of Las Vegas, namely that damn cul-de-sac.
They moved to Las Vegas and purchased the land at the end of a cul-de-sac and had 4 basically identical houses next to each other. They all shared a backyard. It was like the perfect arrangement. I still believe that to this day. If you're gonna be a polygamist and you have the money, do the cul-de-sac thing, because it was perfect for them. The wives got their own independence, they got their own space, they got to feel like their own person, plus the kids got to be together in this big beautiful family. And Kody, if he had chosen to spend more time with his families, Kody could in theory have visited all of his wives and children and really kept a good family dynamic, but we know that he routinely dropped the ball and speed ran 3 divorces, which is so stupid. How are you gonna fumble 4 wives?
I'm counting Robin because he doesn't treat her very well either.
If I had 4 wives, things would be a lot different, okay?
And you know what? They spent like 4 seasons building these houses and budgeting for them and arguing over the different doors they would put in. And it didn't matter because they moved again.
Because eventually I'm going to lead. And many times I'm going to lead against their desires, my wife's desires. I'm going to lead to places they might not want to go, ideas they don't want to do, things they don't want to be involved, but I'm going to lead.
Kody decided that he was going to move the entire family to Flagstaff, Arizona, and convince them all to risk their finances and livelihood to purchase a giant undeveloped piece of property in the mountains. And by undeveloped, I mean truly undeveloped. There's no water, electricity out there. They had a nasty ass drainage pond that Kody decided to take his shirt off and swim in.
Listen, you can't unsee what you're about to see. Is it cold? It must be just terribly cold.
Why would they move there, right? Well, it turns out that Robin wanted to be near her oldest son, Dayton, as he went to college. Even though if I was a betting man, I would say that probably Dayton wanted to get away from the family, not because he didn't like them or anything, because he was 18 and wanting to explore the world and sow his oats, right? He doesn't want mommy to be following him around, and especially not uprooting the entire family. This doesn't make any sense. And the wives at the time were split because Janelle is kind of get along to go along, and she's like, why not? Let's go see. Meanwhile, Christine and Mary are like, why are we doing this again?
And then Kody had the audacity to have a blueprint or whatever you want to call it, designed of a potential giant polygamist mansion without consulting the wives. And then he tried to spring this idea on them at Christmas.
And we're all just gonna share one big house again?
Well,
Hell yeah, brother. This is just an idea, sweetheart.
And by the way, Coyote Pass was not a good pick for them. They never built on it, by the way. And it was extremely underdeveloped. They didn't have water or electricity out there. The frickin' prairie dogs had plague.
Kids, just stick around and don't talk for a second. I just want moms to hear me. I don't want to talk over anybody. So, moms.
Kody, the prairie dogs have plague. Shelby's saying let's not play in the dirt.
Let's not have them play in that hole.
They can probably treat that if it's in the soil. And I'm sure there's like protocol for prairie dog plague. You would think that that would be a sign from God or something, that they shouldn't live there.
You need to get the kids out of the dirt because the prairie dogs or something like that, they have this plague or something like that. And I think Truly's eating the dirt. I'm just saying, she's like in it.
Janelle rented a house, and then eventually when everybody was dragging their feet and not doing anything with this property, she's like, okay, why aren't we doing anything with this property? And Janelle loves that adventurous lifestyle. You know, we paid all this money for this property. Why don't I go live out there in an RV? I only have one kid at home and I like nature. So she lived in an RV, and Kody was a total jerk about it.
You know, in my mind, I still feel like my bedroom is the sacred place for me and my wife to associate with each other in any variety of ways, and the dog shouldn't be there.
I mean, I think we were all Team Janelle in that moment, because what do you mean you don't like the dogs in the bed?
And I'll choose the dogs. Gonna choose the dogs. Gonna choose the kids. Gonna choose the dogs.
And now it's circled back around to being boring again. Who knew that a Kody Brown heavy show would be hard to watch? But
We're doing Halloween, and I'm getting my candy.
there were some major plot points on the show: infighting between the sister wives, misadventures of Kody and Robin, vacations, failed businesses, catfishing scandals.
And I got into this situation talking to one person who really made me trust him.
If you aren't familiar with the whole catfishing storyline, kind of exactly what it sounds like. Mary was feeling, you know, lonely and vulnerable and started talking to people online. And eventually one of those people made Mary think that they were going to have a relationship. And it turned out to not be who they said they were. And they tried to blackmail Mary, and it was a whole thing. And eventually she fessed up to it. And the family never treated her the same after that. And basically after that, Kody kind of just cruelly led Mary on for multiple seasons, never giving her a final answer on whether or not he wanted to continue the relationship.
Kody actually said to me, I have no desire, Mary, to have a relationship with you. You can stick around and you can come visit me and Robin and the kids if you want, but we're never going to have a marriage relationship anymore.
Always kind of treating her like an afterthought and basically having the attitude of, well, if Mary wants to leave, she can, but I'm not going to do anything about it.
Well, don't blame me for not loving you. I was doing my duty. Blame yourself if I don't love you, okay?
That's just so messed up. Like, if you don't like Mary, let her go. Because Mary is literally sealed to you. So she's going to be your wife in the afterlife, and it's just not fair to keep leading her on.
I honestly feel sad for him if that's what he's having to tell himself to justify that he and I started this family. Like, why? Because Robin was only 10 at the time?
And to add insult to injury, in one season, Kody really suggests that Mary stick around and live in his barndominium. Yeah, Jill Rodriguez style.
Well,
Can you?
technically, I would get a permit I'd show them the design. I'd get a permit for the loft I'd put in it, and you could live in that loft.
And keep in mind, Mary had her own place. She also owns a bed and breakfast that was her grandma's house, so
basically, he just wants to put me out there with all this stuff, the extra stuff that he doesn't want to see, he doesn't want to deal with, he doesn't have room for. The cars, the storage, the Mary.
Christine was technically the first wife to leave, and she got married immediately after that.
To me, the fact that they are obviously openly affectionate with each other is almost like the healing balm that kind of soothes that wound that Kody inflicted.
That is nothing compared to the dry humping that went on at the wedding reception.
Giving him a lap dance, she had to get in there too.
Yeah, that was not so awesome.
Janelle also left Kody shortly after that season.
Because you're not listening.
You're not listening to me.
And I'm not going to.
Okay, so we're done?
Goodbye.
You.
All I'm saying is, if I had 4 wives, they wouldn't have anything to complain about.
And so his pattern seems to be that he just sort of ignores that person. It feels like he wants you to say it's over because he doesn't want the responsibility of being the husband who says, I don't want to be married to you anymore.
There was an entire season about their divorce. That's a lie. Every season since then has been about the divorce. And Kody lamenting and just cannot wrap his head around the fact that a woman would dare leave his amazing marriage, right? He's all about hustle, loyalty, and respect, you know? And so it's just cringe. And especially Kody now has been actively red-pilled.
And there is this thing in the manosphere where it says if you're getting divorced, you're going to get screwed, bro.
We're not legally married, though.
Plus, in her book, Christine said that Kody would send her videos from the manosphere, like, all the time, unsolicited.
Unprovoked! Unprovoked!
He's very into the misogyny and woe is me attitude.
I don't know who this patriarchal guy is because this is not the guy I was married to for years.
And up until recently, Kody actually had this on his Instagram. Father of 18, husband to 4. I love them all. Passionate about individual rights. Apologetic for taking that red pill. Dang it, awake.
I'm in my worst place when it comes to marriage and my view of relationships. I admit that it's a dark place.
They're all different people, so they all have different beliefs. None of them, besides Peyton, have outright been bigoted. In fact, all of them were extremely supportive of the LGBTQ members of their family, but that is kind of how it goes in real life. There are Republicans of every ethnicity and sexual orientation and background. There just are. People come to that political ideology from different pipelines, let's just say. Just because someone is a conservative or a Republican doesn't mean that they necessarily hate certain groups, although with their actions and microaggressions
and who they vote for,
you can kind of see between the lines of who they really are as a person.
And what I'm trying to say through all this is that even though somebody can be a Republican, they might believe that they aren't doing anything problematic. But the fact of the matter is, this shit has real life consequences, and everyone is suffering because of Republican policies.
Now, Kody is the most obvious one who has gone through this change. He is a Trumper, and he is lashing out at everyone because he doesn't understand this new world that he lives in where everybody doesn't worship him. I haven't seen the sister wives endorse any political candidates. They don't follow any, they don't post about it, but you can find online donation records for certain political candidates. And Kody has donated to the Trump campaign, which is not a surprise. If he had donated to a Democrat, I would actually be shocked. And I'd make a whole video about that.
He also donated to the campaign of pharmaceutical billionaire and failed presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, as well as Carrie Lake, a local to him Arizona Republican politician. She was also a former news anchor, and now she is the advisor to the United States Agency for Global Media.
You're not going to believe who Janelle donated to, because it wasn't Trump. It was RFK Jr. This is before he became the Secretary of Health and Human Services, but he was still goofy back then. And it honestly makes sense because Janelle's really crunchy and holistic, and so I could see her being a part of the Make America Healthy movement, but it's just also so disappointing. Janelle! You were supposed to be the chosen one. And honestly, if any of them is going to be a Democrat, it's probably going to be Mary. And I know, Mary is also problematic, but I don't know. I could see it. Because Christine, She seems like the type of person who's like, I'm not political, right? Even though politics affects literally every aspect of our lives. I could see her wanting to stay out of it because she's a people pleaser.
As for Christine's husband, David, I mean, I would not be shocked if he was conservative. He's an older white man from a red state, okay? And he wears t-shirts with slogans on them that I find to be questionable. And I know what you're thinking. Well, Christine has a queer child. There's no way she would let a non-open-minded person be around her family, but she's still hanging out with Peyton, and Gwendolyn refuses to be around him because he hit her as a child. So
many years ago, I messed up. I hit Gwen. I slapped Gwen after some words were exchanged, and I took it too far and I slapped her. And she thinks that I might do it again, and she's scared of me, which is okay. I'm not going to argue with her. I'm not going to fight on that. Mom is very aware of this, and mom is trying to help her. Mom knows I would never. I know I would never, but it hurts me. It hurts me knowing that my sister thinks I want to hurt her. I don't want to hurt my sister, but she thinks I do.
Peyton went on this podcast where I'm going to play quite a few troubling clips of, and he says something along the lines of, well, you know, women just want to be loved and men want to be respected, and I actually think it's really cool that I can get women to fear me.
We have cared more about being feared than loved, being respected than cared for. Men in history, throughout history, have, like, it's a genuine, like, women as well. I'm not saying not women, but it is a male trait to want to be respected and feared. It is more of a female trait to want to be cared for and loved.
Where have I heard that before?
At the risk of sounding sexist, but I think men want to be respected and women want to be loved. I don't care if you love me. I care if you respect me.
What if we don't love or respect you, Kody? Where does that leave us? Season 20 of Sister Wives, I guess.
I'm very, very loved by a lot of people. I like, in some instances, I'd rather be feared. In very specific instances, I'd rather they feared me over, oh, Peyton, you're just the best. Because, like, good friends, I've got some good solid friends, and there's a couple instances where, like, oh, Peyton, you're so sweet, you're so kind, and they'll use the term "bud" a lot, which just really gets me, because, like, nothing's gonna happen with these women. It's never gonna happen. It's just like, wow, using the word "bud," thanks. Okay, that's how you see me. In instances like that, I'd rather they'd be like, oh, I don't want to mess with Peyton. I like that they care about me. I'd rather they fear me a little more.
Later on in this interview, Peyton is going on a rant about how, obviously, the liberals of the family dislike me because I'm a white American soldier, so obviously I'm homophobic. Which, you know, I'm not saying that's why you're homophobic. I think you're making the choice to be.
Gwendolyn has cut most of us off because we're all
Really?
sexist, racist, homophobes. Yes, we are all sexist, racist, homophobes.
I didn't see that coming, actually.
I didn't either. She seems pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot. And I'm also, because I am a white male and a soldier, I'm sexist, I'm racist.
Gwendolyn has spoken out against Peyton. That's what he's referring to in this clip, and a lot of times she does that on her Patreon, and so I have transcripts of what she said, and I'll just read it to you. He is still the sexist, homophobic, transphobic, racist, violent abuser that he always has been for several years. He's the most awful person I've ever had the displeasure of knowing, and I would strongly advise taking anything he says as fact. I would also advise against giving him any kind of support, even if you're just watching the kind of content he puts out.
Gwendolyn is not the only family member that Peyton has spoken out against very crudely and disrespectfully. He seems to be especially fixated on Leon, who is trans.
And Peyton said that they only transitioned for attention.
But now Leon, or Leo, whatever, she doesn't talk to me anymore, so I don't know, stopped getting tons of support. And I know for a fact that they like attention. I know for a fact because I remember, because they love attention. They love when something is focused on them. So they decided, oh, hey, I know how to make things more focused on me. So when she came out as trans, when they came out as trans, and now they also posted, I'm going to my brother's wedding soon, and if anybody calls me by she or her, I'm going to educate them.
And did she do that at the wedding?
I don't know if she ever got.
I don't know if Leon ever got the chance because my story came up.
And what's the story, you might ask? Oh, well, at that same wedding, he was telling everybody that he's a bouncer at a strip club and how all the attention went to Peyton instead. So it kind of sounds like there's a little bit of projection going on there, Peyton.
I got a lot more attention than Leon did. Leon didn't get much attention at all. Leon talked to the people that Leon knows, and I got a lot of random family members coming up to me. Are you really a bouncer at a strip club? I got, for that tiny little thing that coming out 2 weeks before the wedding, I got way more attention.
And he's just eating this shit up too. Later on in the interview, he's like, I'm actually like a straight gay best friend. Keep telling yourself that, buddy.
I've been the guy best friend, the gay best friend that isn't gay my entire life. Like I had it with my cousin's wife. I was living in the apartment with them for a while. So I was talking. So they were engaged and then married while I was living with them, and it was awesome. And they're an absolute amazing couple. And I look at her one day and I tell her, "I'm your gay best friend that isn't gay, aren't I?" And she looks at me, and there's just a clarity in her eyes. Yeah, you are. And I've just been that for girls for years.
Will say things like, oh, I really love my sibling, but dead names them, misgenders them, says they're a horrible person.
So they decided, oh, hey, I know how to make things more focused on me. So when she came out as trans, when they came out as trans, and now they also posted, I'm going to my brother's wedding soon, and if anybody calls me by she or her, I'm going to educate them.
And did she do that at the wedding?
I don't know if Leon ever got the chance because my story came up.
I guess the apple really doesn't fall far from the tree, huh? Because Peyton acts just like Kody. Bringing up a hypothetical situation, which didn't happen, by the way. I believe that Leon said that they would educate people if they misgender them, which is a very reasonable thing to do. But then Peyton's like, oh, well, that didn't come up because people were too busy talking about my strip club bouncer story. So you got mad about nothing. And the thing that you were going to be mad about was a reasonable expectation that you would have basic respect for your sibling, who you claim to love.
Somebody said, oh, you really need to get educated by your sister, which really gets on my nerves when people say I need to get educated, because everything I know something about, I know a lot about. There's tons of things I don't know anything about. There's a lot of things I know nothing about. But if I know something about it, I know something about it. So when people say you get educated on a certain topic, I really get angry. So I reacted. I outlashed. I said,
shit, if I was Leon, I wouldn't want to talk to any of you people either. You should be thankful they even show up to family events. This sounds like hell.
So if I tell some really funny jokes, because like I can play the game of like, no, I'm not racist or sexist. I love everybody equally. I don't. Obviously, I love some people more than others. I'm a very loving human being. I tend to try to be kind and good. And jokes are funny. Jokes are hilarious. But there's some that I can't tell being a white. Like you see, I am like, I am so white, I'm pink. It's hilarious, it's wonderful. And I'm also very, very male. I can't tell most adult jokes because most of the good adult jokes involve heavy racism or heavy sexism. I can't tell any of those. I can tell a couple really good jokes. My favorite being, but I already have a video about it. My favorite being, so you want to divorce Minnie because she's extremely silly? No, I said she's fucking goofy. That's hilarious. That's an amazing, wonderful joke, but I can't go deeper than that because I might get in so much trouble. So this is, again, Amanda, I wish you the absolute best, happiest birthday.
So anyway, here's Kody on Special Forces.
I want my children to see that I can do the impossible still.
Mark, I can run it.
Keep the old man out.
I watched that episode and he did not need to run. He could have just walked it.
You won. Big step. Deep breaths out your belly.
Shut the out! That's the last warning.
But seriously, why was he saying that? Does Kody think that he's like an army man? You don't need to tell him to take a deep breath out of his wherever.
Deep breaths out your belly.
Shut the out!
And then he does this.
Get a few pants in.
That'll get there. Yeah, there you go. Focus on your breathing.
Yeah, that's Johnny Football, and Kody's trying to help him, I guess, get his breathing regulated after a strenuous activity, except I don't know where he got the idea to pant, right? I don't think that helps you breathe better. Just make sure after you run up a hill carrying heavy-ass sacks of flour that you breathe real shallow and rapid like this. That's...
You know how I love quarterbacks.
So that show is currently on the air and the season has not finished yet. And I was trying to get the most up-to-date clips to show you guys, but the last episode, last Sunday, didn't feature Kody at all. I guarantee you that after this episode airs, it's going to be all Kody probably. That's just my luck. It truly is my hope that we can all find somebody someday who loves us and stares deeply into our eyes the way that Kody does for Johnny Football.
You know how I love quarterbacks.
I found another clip, and it's a task where they have to walk on a ladder across two buildings. They're hooked up to wires for safety, but the guy's like, just imagine that it's your wife on the other side. And of course, you know, Kody had to say something about that.
I had 4 wives for a long time. I've got 1 now. I want to impress her every day.
Move! Move! Hurry up!
Good job on that.
Christine's book, it came out this October. Most of it is pretty interesting and insightful, and I enjoyed it. It is her own biography, so she, of course, has her own biases. She talks about crunchy stuff, woo-woo stuff. You know, it's Christine. We like that about her. She's quirky. She's into all that, whatever. It's her book. She can write about what she wants. Christine talked a lot about how she really wanted to make a good impression to the other wives. She didn't want to make them jealous, and she was operating under the idea that if she did too much stuff with Kody, even just being romantic or being too good of a friend with him, that it would upset the other wives. Little did she know that it was a shit show back at the trailer that they all lived in, and so it was not going to be a good time anyway. And I only bring up the fact that they lived in a trailer because it was extremely close quarters. And if you've ever spent the night in a trailer, which I have, those bedrooms are tiny and the walls are thin. And Kody had 3 wives and they would fight all the time over everything. And that makes sense, right? We've all had disagreements with roommates. Now imagine one guy is married to all the women. Apparently the proposal was lackluster. He didn't even have a ring. He didn't even try. He didn't even do anything special. Didn't even say a speech or anything nice. It was just like, all right, we're getting married now. Her wedding was the same. He wouldn't even smile at her while they were getting married. She felt ugly in her dress. And then he didn't plan anything with the honeymoon. They just kind of drove around aimlessly.
Which can be fun if that's what you had planned to do. I love a good road trip, but it was the fact that Kody didn't care to even ask her what she wanted to do.
And then their first time was horrible. Christine said there was no foreplay. Kody was careless. He didn't try to do anything romantic or even nice. She said it hurt really bad and that she cried after. So shame on Kody, right? In the book, she said, I figured he would have some sort of experience and he would have taken care of me because he had 2 other wives. Nope. This was just a means to an end for Kody. And even though Kody would never engage in foreplay with the women, he demanded that he get a massage every time. And eventually, when Christine stopped giving them, he had Robin pester her about why she wasn't giving Kody a massage. He was super picky, and on the nights where he would come spend time with each wife, he would demand the house be a certain way, be a certain level of clean, that they cook certain meals for him, and they're not allowed to deviate, that they watch what he want to watch, that, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, just miserable. Christine referred to herself as the basement wife, which is both literal and metaphorical, because at one point they lived in the polygamist house that was specifically built for that purpose. It was 2 apartments on top and then 1 on the bottom, and that was where Christine lived. So she literally lived in the basement, but she also was kind of forgotten and treated like shit, even though there's no reason to. Christine is very nice. Why wouldn't anybody want to be married to her? One of the moments that was pivotal in Christine's relationship with Mary
happened because Mary yelled at McKelty, Christine's daughter. I have heard from Maddie, who is Janelle's daughter, and Peyton, who we're all familiar with, have all kind of corroborated that Mary was mean growing up. I mean, Maddie went as far as saying that she would never allow her own children to be around Mary. I don't want to accuse her of any violence, but I feel like they imply that.
Abrasive and kind of mean are not strong enough words. They are not aggressive enough words. We were never safe around her.
The story goes that Mary had taken McKelty and Leon to the grocery store to get something, and McKelty didn't have enough money to pay for like some candy. She was a dime short or something, and the cashier said, "Oh, it's okay," and grabbed a coin out of the little take a coin, leave a coin thing. And this apparently embarrassed Mary, and so she yelled at McKelty, and Christine decided that she would never speak to Mary again. And they had a strained relationship ever since. I know that Janelle and Mary had a really bad relationship. They tried to work it out on camera, and it didn't work out, even though they're all kind of civil now. Christine and Mary went on a work cruise together, aka one of their MLMs. And, Mary was really mean to Christine and ignored her the whole time. And so she's like, why am I trying to preserve this friendship? Clearly Mary doesn't want to be a part of it. Kody was extremely unattentive to Christine during her pregnancy with Truly, and he was dating Robin at the time, so of course he was always over at her house and almost missed the birth.
I got a wife in labor. I'm not going to sit here kissing my girlfriend. It's just awkward.
Kody started withdrawing affection and other niceties when he felt that the wives were being unloyal or unlovable to him. A goalpost that was constantly moved and is also arbitrary, especially since, you're married to these women. It really doesn't matter how you feel about them. It's your responsibility to provide for them financially, emotionally, spiritually, keep up. You wanted all these wives, you need to take care of them. And the least you can do is be nice to them. These women risk everything. They could end up with no money, no support, and they're screwed with all these kids, and these women believe that they cannot get into heaven without being sealed to you. And so it is your responsibility to be a good husband. It's the least you can do, Kody.
Well, don't blame me for not loving you. I was doing my duty. Blame yourself if I don't love you, okay? When I'm in love with a woman, that's her fault.
One day, Truly had a seizure, and Kody was neglectful. Eventually, Truly went into kidney and bladder failure, and he didn't think it was a big deal. He didn't think she needed to go to the hospital. And Kody was always dismissing her pain and not taking it seriously and not contributing or helping. Christine said that Truly almost died, and Kody was too preoccupied with doing laundry at Robin's house to take her to the hospital. What a fucking loser. Of course, this reminds me of a scene that happened on a recent-ish season of Sister Wives where during COVID, Isabel, another daughter that Christine has, was getting spinal surgery. And Kody decided that he would rather go officiate his friend's wedding than spend time with Isabel, because he said, well, I would be gone for too long and then I would expose my family to germs. But yet he was exposing his family to germs by officiating the wedding.
She goes, how can he justify officiating Brian's wedding when he wouldn't even come to my surgery?
There's even a story in Christine's book where she says that her daughter Isabel called Kody for moral support on the day of the surgery. And she's like, oh, will you sing me a song? And he said, I don't feel like it. Oh, you don't feel like it, Kody?
You think you're gonna go officiate your friend's wedding and not take care of your own family?
God, I hate him.
I think she protesteth too much. She is trying to excuse herself by making me some kind of villain. The lack of love between us was for a reason.
But she blew out her knee, and she was in a lot of pain. I'm talking about Christine here. I don't know why I didn't say her name when I filmed that. And Kody wouldn't help her, but the doctor gave her some pain pills, and she didn't stop taking them, and it became an addiction for her. she had also been secretly drinking for years just to deal with the stress of life. And eventually her kids staged a sort of intervention for her, and she admitted that she needed help. And Kody was good for once, and he watched her kids so that she could go detox in peace. Then there's a random chapter where Cody's obsessed with the Raiders, which is specifically weird for me because of James. After Christine left Kody, she started dating a man named David, and he was a fan of the show. But besides that, he knew about polygamy because his sisters lived polygamy in Mexico. I've always wondered if he had any... Hi! I've always wondered if he had any relation to any of the famous polygamous groups that live in Mexico. They seem to love each other, so much so that they got married within like 3 months. You can take the girl out of the Mormonism, but you can't take the Mormonism out of the girl, right? Final chapters include Christine's weight loss journey, her menopause journey, and some really sad but touching tributes to Garrison, who is Janelle's son, who died by suicide. That was a large section of the most recent season too. And for the same reasons why I'm not going to show any clips of that season, this subject triggers the hell out of me, and so we're gonna move on. But rest in peace, Garrison. You seem like a really cool person. Something that I want to address that happened in the most recent Sister Wives episode from the time I'm filming this is that Christine and David were going on a trip or moving or doing something. They're always doing something like that, and their neighbor's dog got out. I think it's like a little Yorkie or a Schnauzer or something. It had gotten out, and David was joking about taking it with them, and Christine's like, no, leave it alone. It's a little rat. And they took off, and people were mad, and I went and looked because I was trying to find pictures of Christine, and every single post that was unrelated, people were commenting, hey, why did you abandon that dog? What happened to that dog? And I'm not going to lie, I was a little concerned about it too. But apparently, she called a producer who called the neighbor who got the dog back home. So, crisis averted, but Christine, you know how that looked. Speaking of questionable animal treatment, I found this clip today as I'm editing this of Robin kicking a dog. Yeah, what tiny shred of respect that I had for Robin has now been obliterated. In conclusion, I hate Kody, and even though I enjoyed Christine's book, Janelle's still my favorite. Although I will be deducting some points for the RFK Jr. thing. But what can I say? I love seeing a fat chick get her groove back.
I mean, I was a little shy when we got married, but I was definitely not submissive, so I don't know. I guess he misjudged.
In other words, I am joking. I am proud of Christine for writing this book and forging her own path and living her best life. Kody really is the villain of the story, and a lot of people want to blame Robin for things, and she is a part of the problem, but like Kody is the main villain, and he really has ruined multiple women's lives, and he's a horrible father and a bad person. So I think we can all agree that we should use our energy to shit on him because he deserves it. He does all these things to try and patch these ego wounds that he has. That's why he's on the alt-right pipeline, and that's why he's obsessed with men's rights, and why he's on this conservative sexist pipeline. He's just failed at every aspect of his life, and he's cringe. Bro, even his fucking car is stupid.
Manosphere, where it says if you're getting divorced, you're gonna get screwed, bro.
And so I don't think it's cute when he's talking about, oh, I'm such a piece of shit. People say that because they don't want to change. Once you start accepting your identity as a bad person, you really lack the motivation to change. No, Kody, it's not futile. You can change. There is still time. You're not going to get your wives back, but you don't have to be an asshole to them. You don't have to cut off your children because of your ego. Humble yourself. Realize that thou art mortal. This is a pattern that we see frequently played out with Kody. Irrational behavior and power struggles because Kody is insecure and weak, and he uses patriarchy to try and fill that deep void inside of him. And it will never be filled until you change what's on the inside, Kody. We're watching it for the ex-wives. They're the ones that are interesting. They're the ones doing stuff. making moves and being interesting. What is Kody doing? Crashing out? It's pathetic. It's truly the definition of a train wreck. I cannot look away, and no one's gonna do anything about it, and who knows? I don't know. I've lost the point here. Anyway, it's crazy because, like, most of these TLC shows are going in the same direction. Plathville is the same way. Everybody on that show, besides Olivia, has gone freaking dark MAGA. Like, it's miserable. They're miserable. They act like they're living the best lifestyle. These people are sad. They are not enjoying their lives. And it's just turned into this dumpster fire. But anyway, thank you all for watching the video. I hope you're having a good fall. I know the world is really fucked up right now, and you're probably scared and hopeless, and I don't really have anything to offer you in terms of, like, feeling good, but, you know, I'll always tell you a joke. I'll lend an ear, and I'll send good vibes your way. Really, all we have is each other. All you can do in this world is be kind to one another and try to be active in your community and try to help people, and all you can do is your best, you know? So don't beat yourself up. Just try and spread kindness into the world. Did my earring just pop out again? Anyway, very excited for this fall and Halloween. Last year we did not celebrate Halloween because it was the day that James got his cancer diagnosis. So this year we're gonna have fun. I am planning a costume that you guys are going to love. I'm so excited for it. And I have another episode that should be coming out this month if I play my cards right. I'm going to do a video about Doug Wilson, and then James is going to do a video about Pete Hegseth. So I thought that was like a fun little sister episode, if you will. We got some fun movies we're going to do in December. I really want to do a big, like, God's Not Dead cinematic universe video. I think that would be super fun. Fall now. We can finally start living, so I'm excited, but we got quite a few episodes to get done before the end of the year. If you want to support us with your words, you can leave a comment, share, like, all that good stuff. If you want to support us financially, which no obligation, we have Patreon and YouTube memberships. They do the exact same thing. They cost the same thing. YouTube, you get little emojis that you can do in the live chat. But other than that, they do the same thing. Access to the Discord, merch discount, exclusive videos, all that fun stuff. We also have merch. We made a shirt for the Vacation Bible School, Jedi Junction. It's got Marshall on there. And Halloween stuff from last year, Bite, which features my real cat as a vampire, because I believe deep down inside he is a vampire at heart. My pronouns are child of God, which is a cheeky little, like, you know, you get it. The girls who get it, get it. And other good stuff. We got God Loves You in a Gay Way, Fungi Fridays. We have one that I love, which is called Atheist Nightmare, which is based off of this iconic video of Ray Comfort and Kirk Cameron. And Ray Comfort's trying to prove that the banana is God's perfect design. And he does so by, like, oh, how did I forget? Thank you, Michelle. A very highly requested merch. And you can find her on everything. We got her on stickers, pins, all that good stuff. Vampire Hoe, which is a reference to Sister Cindy. We have Militant Homosexual hat, which is a Anita Bryant reference.
But the militant homosexuals don't take no for an answer.
Love you guys, and I will be here. If you need me, I'll be in my office working on videos. I love you guys, and hopefully I'll see you before Halloween, but if I don't, happy Halloween. Bye-bye.
Look down the lens!